Hey everyone, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. I post videos once a week, usually on Sundays, about self-acceptance, personal style and beauty, and sometimes about expanding consciousness. If that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe and join the party. It's Labor Day weekend, which means I'm a little slow to get started. That's why I'm out here in my living room where the light's a little bit better. I hope you're enjoying the change of scenery. You may see Chewy come through the back, so if you do, just say hi to Chewy. And I don't know about you, but the people around me have started to get me hyped up on pumpkin spice and Halloween plans. I do have plans this year, and I decided for the first time, this is directly tied to my gray hair transition, that I might be interested in going as a witch for Halloween. I don't think in my entire life I've literally ever gone as a witch for Halloween. I've been a ninja, I've been Cheech Marin, I've been Medusa, which is kind of like witch adjacent, but I've never actually gone as a witch. And because my gray hair is getting longer, it kind of seemed fitting. So I went on Amazon's app just to see what sort of costumes were readily available for this type of thing. And it sent me down an entire rabbit hole. And I've only recently come up for air. The fundamental idea that kept me going was, aha! So this is why I was afraid of letting my hair go gray. So for the last week, I've been thinking a lot about archetypes, and specifically the archetype of the wise old woman, sometimes called the crone. An archetype is a recurrent symbol in art, literature, mythology, and as long as humans have been gathering and telling stories, they've been telling stories that are sort of similar across time and culture. And everywhere that humans have lived, women have been growing older with them. And so they appear in art and literature and mythology throughout the world's traditions. Across cultures and time, there are different examples of characters expressing this particular archetype, but there are some core similarities that reach across time and space. If you're interested in these ideas, I highly recommend checking out Joseph Campbell's interviews with Bill Moyers from 1988. I was introduced to these ideas in high school, and back when I was a high school English teacher, I taught about archetypes as well. So this is something I've been interested in for a long time. In Joseph Campbell's work, he explores the similarities across time and culture in the expression of a hero's journey, basically a storyline expressing a young adult's movement away from their home village out into a strange land to pursue a healing elixir that they'll bring back to their community to heal it. This is something that we still find to be a compelling storyline. Think about Harry Potter or Star Wars or Andy from The Devil Wears Prada. Campbell argues that we still find this storyline compelling because it locks into a central experience of what it is to be human that transcends time and culture. One of the very first characters that the hero meets on their journey is a wise old man or a wise old woman. This is a character that possesses knowledge of both the familiar homeland the hero is coming from and the strange foreign land the hero wishes to enter. The wise old woman or man strides across both lands. They possess special knowledge and can sometimes give the hero a special protective gift that they can take with them on their journey. It's not always clear that this wise old woman or wise old man is a friend or if they're a foe. Later, Hollywood will sometimes, resolve that concern. But while the hero is on their journey, the wise old woman or the wise old man, wise old woman for our purposes, stands as a possessor of knowledge, not necessarily a friend. Different cultures have created different expressions of this wise old woman archetype. One example from the Slavic tradition, one that I'm ancestrally connected to through my dad's side, is the character of Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is an ugly and fearsome old woman who lives at the edge of the forest. She possesses special knowledge of herbs, and she can be seen riding in a mortar and pestle. She carries a broom with her to sweep away the tracks that she's left behind. She's said to be horrifically ugly, but she can also transform herself into the image of a young woman, although she only seems to do that when she intends to trick somebody. She possesses knowledge and can be helpful, but she's also known to lure small children to her and to devour them. She is certainly not good. She is somewhat evil, but she can be helpful. I also really believe that her image, Baba Yaga, informs our current concept of a Halloween witch, which we can see distilled down into simple clip art like this. In Hindu tradition, one that I do not have personal experience with other than as an interested student, there is a figure called Dhumavati. She's known as the goddess of smoke. She's depicted as either riding a horseless carriage or sometimes riding a crow, and she can be found living or, sitting near the edge of graveyards, operating that kind of liminal space as well. She can bestow great gifts or boons to those who come to seek her, and she's supposed to possess ultimate knowledge of the universe, and she is said to be beyond our illusory sort of binary divisions that we sort ourselves into, the good or evil manner, and she seems to live outside of that. In Greek mythology, there is Hecate. She's a liminal figure whose domain is the boundary lands between this world and the underworld. She's sometimes depicted as having 3 sides or manifestations, so she's somewhat amorphous and can be sometimes seen carrying torches and even a key. And these are the keys to the gates of the underworld. In Greek mythology, she was known to eventually become a companion to Persephone, who Hades stole and took down into the underworld, and who became ultimately the queen of the underworld. Hecate is known to be her companion. She also makes an appearance in Macbeth in Act 3. The 3 weird sisters in Macbeth basically report to Hecate. I think they say Hecate in Shakespearean English. Anyway, she's like the supervisor of the 3 witches and takes them to task in Act 3 for not consulting her earlier and using her expertise to do their work. So she has knowledge of witchcraft and of the underworld. The Ashanti people in what is now Ghana honor Asasiya, which is literally translated into old woman, and she is the female spirit of the earth. She is called upon during baby naming ceremonies and when it is time to bury the dead, so she is present at the transitions from life to death on both ends. She presides over those boundary lands, and her permission is sought whenever the earth needs to be disturbed, whether to bury the dead or to till the soil to plant crops. She's said to be the source of truth and of earth's fertility. She is not worshipped in temples, but is honored whenever the earth is well cared for. I love this archetype personally. So a roundup of these ancient depictions of the mature woman archetype. We have a wise old woman transcending dualities, living at the edge of society, presiding over the boundaries between this life and some alternate dimension, and possessing wisdom and critical knowledge. She can provide gifts and help, but she is also fearsome and not to be trifled with. This is a rich and complex archetype, neither all good nor all evil. She is powerful, and she can be a source of wealth. But if not respected, she might spoil your land and eat your children. Okay, so again, the question I'm trying to answer is this. Why am I so afraid to let my hair turn gray? I want to bring us back to the present time. I'm looking through the world through my lens, primarily a U.S. pop culture lens. I grew up with Disney and Hollywood movies. Because of copyright laws, I'm not going to show any Disney images right now, but I'm going to talk about a couple of the famous Disney movies. I wanted to talk about a couple of key mature female characters, primarily villains, to highlight how much these archetypes are still present in our culture today. Depictions of older women in these movies hasn't changed much from these ancient archetypes. In Cinderella, the dual and amorphous nature of the wise old woman is actually split into 2 separate characters, the wicked stepmother and the fairy godmother. In Cinderella, the wicked stepmother is depicted as having salt and pepper gray hair. Her name is Lady Tremaine, and she is a cruel and jealous stepmother who is withholding opportunity from Cinderella and turning her into a servant. The other character, the fairy godmother, is kind of a chubby little white-haired grandma character who appears in Cinderella's darkest hour, and with a magic wand she's able to make her gown and carriage materialize out of thin air with a bibbidi-bobbidi-boop and help deliver Cinderella to the ball. In The Little Mermaid, you may remember Ariel, who wishes to leave the sea and go up to land. She seeks the help of the sea hag Ursula, who is also depicted as having salt and pepper hair and kind of a thick octopus body. I love Ursula. I have to be honest about that. Ursula is much closer to a Baba Yaga figure. She possesses knowledge of potions and spells that can help Ariel get what she needs, but it's clear she intends to capture and control Ariel's soul if certain contractual terms are triggered. When Ursula's plans appear to be in jeopardy, she does choose to transform her image into that of a beautiful young woman in order to trick the same guy Ariel's trying to get with and disrupt Ariel's plans. I'm not going to go over the whole plots of these movies. I'm just trying to describe the behaviors of the wise old woman archetype in them. Leaving Disney and skipping over the Golden Girls just for today, I'll be back, I swear. We head toward Miranda Priestly from The Devil Wears Prada. Now, she was played by Meryl Streep, and she sat on top of the fashion power pyramid with a beautiful head of white hair. She was a possessor of knowledge and could cut the protagonist, Andy, down to size without even changing her tone. Miranda Priestly holds the keys to the fashion kingdom, but it's clear that the price of admission is the protagonist's sense of personal values. At the end of the story, the protagonist leaves Miranda to Miranda and continued to preside over her domain. I guess what I've been afraid of is appearing to be some sort of arch villain. A culturally isolated wise figure who the main character only comes to when knowledge or resources or access are needed. Is this about our culture, or is it really just about being human? Am I afraid of how society will view me, and in turn how I'll view myself? Or is just this one of those classic life changes that I'm resisting going through? I wanted more examples from our contemporary culture of these archetypes, and what could be a better depiction of what we consider to be archetypes than a stock photo database. I use PowerDirector 365 to edit my videos, and the subscription to that service comes with access to a library of stock photographs. I typed in gray hair and old woman into the stock photo database, and what I primarily found had to do with images of mature women exercising and generally living their best lives, seemingly to send the message of a healthy and active retirement, and pictures of women gardening. Here we see knowledge of herbs and of fertile earth, and many images of warm and adoring grandmothers, maybe a little fairy godmother energy. I didn't see much else, but I'm not sure what it all means. Stock photos do tend to be elemental sketches of concepts we can refine and sharpen by adding additional context. What seems to be missing from the stock photo database are images of mature women's terrifying power and special knowledge. Mature womanhood seems to primarily include some really great bike rides, gardening, and times with family. Not bad, but undeniably sanitized. So back to Halloween. What I found most interesting was when I went to go look at what ready-made witch costumes were available on Amazon, which can serve as a magic mirror into our contemporary society. I looked through the images of ready-made witch costumes, and what I predominantly found were those of the sexy witch variety. Now, this is nothing new, but what was new was how many of them included really glamorous white and silver wigs. In the past, I feel like I recall that mostly the wigs were black or sometimes black with a white streak. But in this case, I'm seeing more glamorous, long white wigs, and those are paired with super sexy costumes. So then I searched for gray wigs. I found a word salad of tags to optimize searching. Old lady, cosplay, granny, Halloween wig. I could find sweet old granny wigs and witchy wigs that look a lot like my natural hair when I don't straighten it, thanks a lot. But surprisingly, I also found many choices for white and silver wigs that were marketed as fashion and style choices, not as a costume for either side of the old woman archetype coin, witch or granny. I'm heartened by the hot girl gray wigs. Perhaps we're living in a time where we're seeing an expansion, long overdue, of the definition of what mature womanhood can mean. It's easier now than when I was younger to point to examples of mature women serving in global leadership roles. Right now, Christine Lagarde, who is 65, serves as the president of the European Central Bank. Janet Yellen, who's 75, serves as the Fed chairwoman, and Nancy Pelosi, who's 81 years old, is the Speaker of the House in the US government. Now, no matter what you think about these ladies personally, it is notable that these women who are in the advanced years of their lives are serving in major leadership capacities. So back to the question, why was I so afraid to go gray? I think what I was afraid of, and I'm speaking only for myself, is that I would cease to be allowed to participate if I were to let my hair go gray. It's a matter of representation. The more I see mature women in leadership roles, the more I can picture myself continuing to contribute as I get older too. I'm very interested in how the concept of mature womanhood expands in my lifetime. I understand that archetypal wisdom transcends time and culture, providing a clear window into fundamental human experience. I also think that there is some room to innovate and expand our understanding. One of the ways that we can do this is through participating and contributing. Another way is by being our authentic selves and by showing up in our communities with all of our wisdom and knowledge that we've gained in our own heroes' journeys through life. We can embody the archetype and we can expand its expression. And the fact is, I'm not afraid to let my hair go gray anymore. I'm committed to my own role in expanding the expression of what it means to grow up and be a mature woman. Anyway, I hope you guys found this interesting and I hope you're all doing well. I hope to see you next week. Talk soon. Bye.